Of kidnapping and starving his 4-year-old daughter to death in 2023, returned to the courtroom this afternoon for his trial. Atlanta News First Sarah Hammond is live at the Fulton County Courthouse. So what are prosecutors accusing Rodney McWay of?
Well, during their opening statement, they say that McWay's home was a, quote, house of horrors, alleging that he had surveillance in every room and would withhold food and water from his 3 children. This morning, jurors heard from 2 of those 3 children, and police say they found their sister, 4-year-old Treasure, dead from dehydration and starvation just weeks before Christmas in 2023. Her brothers were taken to the hospital, and after years of what attorneys described as abuse towards his wife, Passion Mitchell, they say she eventually left and McWay ended up with their 3 young children they shared. But the prosecution says a witness plans to testify that he kept one son locked in a back room with no food and water. And McWay's attorney acknowledged his client made bad decisions when it came to the mother of his children, but argues he never intended to harm his children. And Mitchell took the stand yesterday and told the jury about the alleged abuse she experienced from McWay.
He always told me that if I called the police, he would kill me. So I didn't know if he would really kill me or he was just saying that. I didn't want to test the theory either. I didn't want to do none of that.
Now, McWay is charged with murder, kidnapping, and cruelty to children, among other charges. Live from the Fulton County Courthouse, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.